First in the spotlight tonight is Steve Wilson, an author from London. He's answering questions on Marc Bolan. Next, Jillian Taylor, a writer from Sheffield. Her subject, the ill-fated ocean liner, the Empress of Ireland. David Good is a software developer from High Wycombe. His specialist subject, the Sasanian Empire. And Philip Isaac, a tutor assistant from Cornwall. His subject, Allo, Allo. And welcome to Mastermind with me, John Humphrys. This is the programme that's regarded as the ultimate test of nerve and knowledge, knowing the subject and remembering it all under a lot of pressure. Our four contenders will have 2 minutes of questions on their specialist subject and then 2.5 minutes on general knowledge. And the winner, of course, will go through to the next round and be on course to become the next Mastermind champion. So let's have our first contender, please. And your name is?
Steve Wilson.
Your occupation?
Author.
And your specialist subject?
Marc Bolan.
Marc Bolan in 2 minutes, starting now. Marc Bolan was the singer-songwriter and guitarist with the British rock band T-Rex. The group first reached the top of the UK charts in March 1971 with which song?
Hot Love.
Yes. T-Rex were initially called Tyrannosaurus Rex. Their original lineup featured Marc Bolan alongside which percussionist and singer?
Steve Peregrine Took.
Yes. On what record label was the first Tyrannosaurus Rex album, My People Were Fair, released in July 1968?
Regal Zonophone.
Yes. What is the title of the collection of Marc Bolan poems that was published in 1969 and became a bestseller?
The Warlock of Love.
Yes. Howard Kaylan and Marc Bolan, who sang backing vocals on Hot Love and Get It On, were more often known by what nicknames?
The Fluorescent Leech and Eddie.
The Flo and Eddie, yes. Bolan met his future wife, June Child, when she was working at the music management company that also managed Pink Floyd. What was the company called?
Chris Blackwell & Co.
Black Hill Enterprises. The 1971 chart-topping single Get It On was released under a different title in America to avoid confusion with a single by the band Chase, also called Get It On. What title was it released under?
Bang a Gong.
Yes. Which 74 top 20 single was the first to be credited to Marc Bolan and T-Rex rather than just T-Rex?
Zip Gun Boogie?
No, Teenage Dream. In which children's television adventure series in the mid-60s did Bolan appear as a teenage delinquent?
Orlando.
Yes. Which legendary bass player did Bolan recruit to appear in the final lineup of T-Rex? He appeared as part of the band on the television series Mark.
Dino Deans.
Herbie Flowers. Bolan was an early supporter of punk rock music and invited a punk band to support T-Rex on their 77 tour. Which band?
The Damned.
Yes. Bolan played guitar on 3 tracks on the ELO album On the Third Day. They were Dreaming of 4000, Everyone's Born to Die, and which hit single?
Pass.
Bolan occasionally appeared as a presenter on a Thames Television magazine-style show on which he interviewed various celebrities, including Keith Moon. What was the show called?
Mark.
No, it was actually called Today. Yeah, there you go. You had 1 pass, Steve, on that ELO album. It was Ma 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 Belle. And Steve, you've scored 8 points. And our next contender, please. And your name is?
Jillian Taylor.
Your occupation?
Writer.
And your specialist subject?
The Empress of Ireland.
The Empress of Ireland. In 2 minutes, here we go. The ocean liner, the Empress of Ireland, sank in the St. Lawrence River in May 1914 with the loss of more than 1,000 lives. It sank 14 minutes after it collided with a Norwegian collier ship. What was the name of the collier?
Storstad.
Yes. Who chaired the public inquiry into the disaster? He had earlier handled a similar investigation into the sinking of the Titanic.
Lord Mersey.
Yes, Lord Mersey placed most of the blame for the accident on the chief officer of the Storstad, who had failed to notify the captain when he first saw approaching fog. What was the officer's name?
Alfred Toftenes.
Yes. Which prominent British writer crossed the Atlantic to Canada on the Empress in September 1907? He said of the journey, "The food isn't bad, but the weather is vile."
Rudyard Kipling.
Yes. Shortly before the collision, the last mail was taken off by a boat that later returned to rescue some of the survivors. What was the boat called?
Lady Evelyn.
Yes. What was the name of the author and former ship's captain who wrote of the Empress tragedy, "As long as men will travel on the water, the sea gods will take their toll"?
Joseph Conrad.
Yes, the disaster happened near a lighthouse station close to the town of Rimouski. What was the station called?
Father Point.
Yes, the senior Marconi wireless operator on the Empress of Ireland managed to send an SOS signal before the ship sank. What was his name?
Ferguson.
Yes, a North German Lloyd liner that was travelling in the St Lawrence River when the Empress sank failed to respond to the SOS call. What was it called?
Alsatian.
The Hanover. Which Irish stoker survived the sinking of both the Empress and the Titanic 2 years earlier?
William Clark.
Yes, before the Empress's last journey, the crew could not coax the ship's cat aboard and left without her. What was her name?
Emmy.
Yep. What position in the crew of the Empress was held by William Sampson, who survived the sinking and gave evidence to the subsequent inquiry from his sickbed?
William Sampson. Chief Engineer.
Yes. In which Clydeside shipyard was the Empress built? It was commissioned by the Canadian Pacific Railway Company for the lucrative North Atlantic passenger route.
Fairfields.
Yes, around 170 of the passengers on the final journey of the Empress were members of a religious organisation travelling to London for a congress. What organisation?
Salvation Army.
Yes, in which ship, sorry to all finish, in which ship were many of the surviving crew and third-class passengers taken to Liverpool a few days after the sinking of the Empress?
The Alsatian.
Is correct. No passes, Jillian. 14 points. And our next contender, please. And your name is?
David Good.
Your occupation?
Software developer.
And your specialist subject?
The Sasanian Empire.
The Sasanian Empire. In 2 minutes. The Sasanian Empire lasted from 224 to 651 AD and covered modern-day Iran, Iraq, the Middle East and Central Asia. Ardashir I established it after defeating the Parthians at which battle in April 224?
Pass.
Which Roman emperor launched a massive invasion of the Sasanian Empire in 363? After reaching the capital, Ctesiphon, he turned back and died on the return journey.
Julian.
Yes, Yazdegerd I, who curbed the power of the nobles and extended religious toleration to Christians, was given an unflattering epithet by Sasanian writers. What was it?
The Unholy.
Now, the Sinner. From which city in Persis is the Sasanian dynasty believed to have originated?
Estaca.
Yes, after the death of Gordian III in a campaign against the Sasanians, the newly proclaimed Roman emperor was forced to sign a treaty with Shapur I in 244. What was the emperor's name?
Philip the Arab.
Yes, at which battle of 634 did the Sasanians defeat an invading Muslim army? This was the only major Persian victory over the invaders.
Battle of the Bridge.
Yes, what important Christian relic associated with St. Helena did the Sasanians remove from Jerusalem in 614 after they sacked the city during a campaign against the Byzantines?
The True Cross.
Yes, which daughter of Khusro II was the first woman to rule the Sasanian Empire? She was in power for less than 2 years, from 630, and was briefly succeeded by his sister Azarmedukut.
Boronduct.
Yes, who preached the idea of a social system that included shared wealth, property and women, which was at first supported by King Kavad as a means of weakening the power of the nobility?
Mazdak.
Yes, which city on the Bosporus, almost directly opposite Constantinople, was captured by Sasanian forces in 615?
Chalcedon.
Yes, what specific type of Sasanian monuments with depictions of investitures, victories in battles and hunts can be found at Taki Bustan, Nakshi Rajab and Nakshi Rustam?
Cube.
Rock reliefs or carvings. What was the name of Khusro II's wife who is said to have helped spread Christianity in the empire? His
Pass.
other known wife was a Byzantine princess named Mariam.
Pass.
Well, I can tell you it was Shireen. And the other pass you had, the battle in which the Parthians was defeated in April 224 was the Battle of Hormozgan. Though you pronounce it more accurate than me, I've no doubt. David, you've scored 8 points. And our next contender, please. And your name is?
Philip Isaac.
Your occupation?
132 assistant.
And your chosen subject?
Allo, allo.
Hello, hello! In 2 minutes starting now. In the pilot episode, what stolen item does Captain Gearing hide down his trousers when Herr Flick of the Gestapo arrives at the German headquarters?
A cookie clock.
Correct. Which character is first seen when he's found dangling from his parachute in a tree? He says he has brung greetings from British intelligence headquarters.
Off the Crabtree.
Yes, following the accidental blowing up of the railway in Series 1, Episode 4, Renee is sentenced to be executed by a firing squad led by which German officer?
Lieutenant Gruber.
Correct. What is the name of the waitress, a former gang leader in the Paris Resistance, who is employed in the cafe from Series 4 onwards?
Mimile Bonk.
Yes, who replaced David Croft as the scriptwriter from the 7th series onwards?
Paul Adam.
Yes, in The Great Unescape, Herr von Schmollhausen listens to a radio broadcast with Herr Flick and says that he knows nursery rhymes because he was educated where?
Oxford University.
Yes, Lieutenant Gruber makes forgeries of 2 paintings, The Fallen Madonna with the Big Boobies by Van Klomp and The Cracked Vase with the Big Daisies by which famous artist?
Van Gogh.
Yes, when Jack Haig, who played Monsieur Roger Leclerc, died in 1989, his real-life twin brother joined the series. What was the new character's first name?
Ernest.
It was. In the dreaded circular saw, René and Monsieur Leclerc escape from Gruber's bedroom dressed as German officers, but are captured by members of a branch of the resistance. Which branch?
Communist.
Yes, which actor is credited in many episodes as the voice of London Calling, heard over the radio stored in the attic of the cafe? He also appears on screen in Series 3 as Herr Flick's tailor.
Paul Cooper.
Correct. In the 91 Christmas special, who steals the Fallen Madonna with the Big Boobies from von Schmollhausen and removes one of the boobies as security that she will get her share of the post-war sale?
Helga.
Yes, in the episode Red Nick's Colonel, Michelle explains to Renee that she can't take the British airmen to the coast because she'll be missed at her regular job in the next village. What is her job?
She's a sub-postmistress.
Yes, in Gruber Does Some Mincing, the girls from the Resistance steal a motor from the mower of a German officer to power a plane for the escape of the British airmen. What is the officer's name?
General von Klinkerhoffen.
That is correct. No passes. You got them all right. Philip, 13 points. Well, that's the end of the first round. Some good scoring there. Let's have a look at all the scores. In joint third place, 8 points apiece, Steve Wilson and David Good. Second place, 13 points, Philip Isaac. First place, 14 points, Jillian Taylor. So, round 2 now, general knowledge, and if there is a tie at the end of it, then the number of passes is taken into account, and the person with the fewer passes is the winner. And if they're tied on passes as well, there will be a tie break. And the 6 highest scoring runners-up in this round will also be able to claim a place in the semi-final. So, plenty to play for. Let's get on with it and ask Steve to join us again, please. And you start out with 8 points. This round, of course, is 2.5 minutes, so plenty of time to catch up with your general knowledge. Here we go, 2.5 minutes starting now. Under what name did Theodor Geisel write books for children such as The Cat in the Hat and Green Eggs and Ham?
Dr. Seuss.
Yes, what is the descriptive name given to the irregular luminous band of gas clouds and several billion stars that stretches across the sky as seen from Earth?
The Milky Way.
Yes, what name is given to the mess cabin of commissioned officers on a warship? The term sometimes refers to the officers themselves.
The wardroom.
Yes. Which duo went on an Asian adventure on television in 2014, meeting people in the region and trying the local cuisine?
Pass.
A multi-award-winning cyclist was knighted in the 2013 New Year's Honours List, although he said he was unlikely to use the title. Who is he?
Chris Boardman.
No, Sir Bradley Wiggins. Which chart-topping singer was born Robin Fenty in St. Michael, Barbados in 1988?
Pass.
What was the name of the Commander-in-Chief of Japan's combined fleet, the architect of the attack on Pearl Harbor, who was killed when his aircraft was shot down on the 18th of April 1943? Yamamoto. Which 19th century German physicist gives his name to the SI-derived unit of electrical resistance?
Ohm.
Yes. The disease quinsy, characterised by a painful pus-filled swelling, is associated with the infection of which organs of the throat?
The larynx.
The tonsils. The holder of which office of the Church of England should be addressed with the title The Most Reverend?
Archbishop.
Yes, what is the common name of the gigantic but harmless shark that feeds on plankton? It's the world's largest living fish.
Whale shark.
Yes, at the 64 Tokyo Olympics, the Britons Mary Rand and Lynn Davis won gold medals in the women's and men's competitions in a field event. Which one?
Pentathlon.
No, the long jump. Which former soldier and leader of the Likud party was first elected Prime Minister of Israel in February 2001? He died in January 2014 after 8 years in a coma.
Menachem Begin.
No, Sharon. In Mozart's opera The Magic Flute, Papageno is employed by the Queen of the Night as what?
Pass.
In which American state is the peninsula that contains Quoddy Head State Park and the easternmost point of the mainland?
Florida.
Maine. Which Irish-born adventurer, along with several accomplices, tried to steal the crown jewels from the Tower of London in 1671?
Colonel Blood.
Yes. Which concentrated flavouring, an ingredient of many cocktails, was first distilled in 1824 by the German-born surgeon Johann Ziegert?
Pass.
In 2014, who reprised his role as the title character in the Marvel superhero film Captain America: The Winter Soldier?
Pass.
The name of a famous artist is given to a type of large, broad-brimmed hat made fashionable by his 1783 portrait of Georgiana, Duchess of Devonshire. Who was the artist?
Gainsborough.
Gainsborough. Yes, it was. You had 5 passes. In 2014, it was Chris Evans who reprised his role as Captain America. Angostura's bitters, that's what you get with those concentrated flavourings. Papageno in The Magic Flute was a bird catcher. Rihanna was born Robin Fenty in Barbados. And the Hairy Bikers were the duo who, you remember then, went on that Asian adventure. Your total now, Steve, is 16 points. And now David again, please. And you also have 8 points with your knowledge of that empire that most of us have never even heard of. Let's see how you do with your general knowledge. 2.5 minutes, starting now. In the UK, what term is used for a student studying for an advanced qualification after first obtaining a university degree?
Postgraduate.
Yes, in November 2007, which London station replaced Waterloo as the terminus for Eurostar trains?
St Pancras.
Yes, whose cover version of Don McLean's American Pie went 1 place higher than the original in the UK charts when it reached #1 in March 2000?
Madonna.
Yes, which comedian who stars alongside Tim Vine and Sally Breton in the television series Not Going Out rode red rum while working as a stable boy at Ginger McCain's stables?
Pass.
Which 1988 best-selling book by Stephen Hawking has the subtitle From the Big Bang to Black Holes?
Brief History of Time.
Yes, a regular hexahedron is a mathematical description of which common solid figure?
Cube.
Yep. Who famously said at the Royal Command performance in November 1963, "Will the people in the cheaper seats clap your hands, all the rest of you, if you'll just rattle your jewellery"?
John Lennon.
Yes. Which synthetic material now widely used in packaging was first produced in England in the 30s? Its first use was insulating radar cables in the Second World War.
Polystyrene.
Polythene. Sunil Gavaskar's record number of test centuries was beaten by Sachin Tendulkar in 2005. What nickname did the two batsmen share?
Little Master.
Yes. Theobald von Bethmann Holdweg was the Chancellor of which country between 1909 and 1917?
Germany.
Yes. Which scientific toy uses the transfer of momentum through metal balls suspended from parallel bars to demonstrate a fundamental law of motion discovered by the scientist it's named after?
Newton's Cradle.
Yes. The classic 1950s lineup of a long-running television panel game comprised David Nixon, Barbara Kelly, Lady Isabel Barnett and the grouchy Gilbert Harding. What was the programme?
What's My Line?
Yes. Who was the author of the biblical Book of Proverbs, according to chapter 1, verse 1 of the book?
Samuel.
Solomon. The bark of which tree was originally used as the source of salicylic acid used in the preparation of the drug aspirin?
Willow.
Yes, a jazz pianist and keyboard player who also composed film scores recorded the UK dance hits I Thought It Was You in 1978 and Rocket in 1983. Who was he?
Pass.
The Bell Jar, published under the name of Victoria Lucas, was the only novel by which American poet who died in 1963?
Sylvia Plath.
Yes. What name was given by the Romans to the area of northern Britain beyond their control, roughly corresponding to modern Scotland?
Caledonia.
Yes. In Greek mythology, the children of Uranus and Gaia include Hyperion and Cronus, the father of Zeus. By what name are the children collectively known?
Tysons.
Yes. What ingredient is usually found in the middle of the large pork pie known as a gala pie?
A boiled egg.
Yeah, hard-boiled eggs, exactly. You had 2 passes. Herbie Hancock was the jazz pianist and keyboard player. And Lee Mack was the comedian who starred with Tim Vine and Sally Bretton. But you've now shot up, David, to a total of 23 points. And now Philip again, please. And you start this round, Philip, with 13 points with your knowledge of Allo, Allo, and 23, as we speak, is the score to beat. You have 2.5 minutes to try to do it. Here we go. Which outlaw has been played on television by Richard Green, Michael Praed and Jonas Armstrong, among others?
Robin Hood.
Yes, to what order of mammals that evolved from tree-dwelling insectivores around 65 million years ago do apes, monkeys, lemurs and human beings belong?
Primate.
Yes, the word slithy, a combination of lithe and slimy, was coined by Lewis Carroll in Through the Looking Glass. What name did he give to such a word that blends the sounds and meanings of other words?
Portmanteau.
Yes, in October 1976, when Blackburn Rovers winger David Wagstaff was sent off in a game against Leyton Orient, he became the first person to be shown what?
A red card.
Yes, what phrase used by jugglers and magicians while performing tricks was once believed to come from the words used in the Latin Mass, hoc est corpus meum?
Abracadabra.
No, hocus pocus. Which political leader had his nose broken when he was struck in the face by a model of Milan Cathedral thrown by a protester in December 2009?
Silvio Berlusconi.
Yes, which planet is usually the brightest when viewed from Earth and is often known as the morning or evening star?
Venus.
Yes, what was the name of the soft, mild-tasting English blue cheese launched in 1982? Production of the cheese ended in 1992.
Stinking Bishop.
No, Limes World. Which pop group consisted of the construction worker, the biker, the cowboy, the Indian, the soldier and the cop?
Village People.
Yes, the crime of buying or selling an ecclesiastical benefice is named after the biblical sorcerer who, according to the Book of Acts, tried to buy spiritual powers from the apostles. What is the crime called?
Simony.
Yes, the dachshund was originally bred to scent and flush out which burrowing animal?
Badger.
Yes, which feminist author and academic wrote a gardening column for Private Eye in the 1970s using the pen name Rose Blight?
Pass.
What is the scientific name of the pouch that the females of animals such as the kangaroo use to protect and raise their newborn young?
Marsupium.
Yes, who released her 5th studio album Wanderlust in January 2014 after appearing as a contestant on Strictly Come Dancing?
Pass. Sophia Baxter.
Yes, what word used in an expression for rushing around wildly has come into the English language from the Malay for frenzy?
Pass.
Which road that now runs from Rome to Brindisi was begun in 312 BC and is the oldest ancient Roman road?
Appian Way.
Yes, Jeremy Piven plays the title role in a television series based on the life of the founder of a London department store. Which series?
Mr. Selfridge.
Yes, what Arabic name meaning west or where the sun sets is given to the Atlas Mountains and the coastal plains of Mauritania, Morocco, Algeria, Tunisia and Libya?
Sahel.
No, the Maghreb or Maghreb. 2 passes. Philip, that word used for rushing around wildly comes from the Malay for frenzy is amok, or if you prefer, amok. And the other pass, the feminist who wrote a gardening column for Private Eye, was Germaine Greer. You have now scored, though, a total, Philip, of 26 points. And finally, Jillian again, please. And you start out, Jillian, with 14 points and 26 is now the score to beat. So, here we go. Let's see if you can do it and get through to the next round. The 1954 documentary series Zoo Quest was the first programme hosted and produced by which celebrated wildlife filmmaker?
David Attenborough.
Yes. What colour smoke from a chimney on the roof of the Sistine Chapel announces that a new pope has been elected?
White.
Yes. What's the name of the Russian space station whose core module was launched in 1986? It finally disintegrated above the Pacific in 2001.
Mir.
Yes. Who won the 2002 Women's London Marathon in a record European time in her first attempt at the distance? She broke the world record in Chicago and did so again in London the following year.
Paul Radcliffe.
Yes, a term used for the practice of kidnapping a person to join a ship lacking a full crew comes from the name of a Chinese city. Which one?
Press Gang.
Shanghai. Which singer had 3 UK chart-topping singles in 2005? That's 28 years after his death.
Elvis Presley.
Yes, the War of the Austrian Succession in the mid-18th century was fought over the right of Charles VI's daughter to succeed her father as ruler of Austria-Hungary and Bohemia. What was her name?
Sophia.
Maria Theresa. What is formed within the human body through the process known as ossification?
Bone.
Yes, which raunchy character created by Daniel Defoe has been played by Kim Novak and Robin Wright in films and by Julia Foster and Alex Kingston on television?
Paul Flanders.
Yes, England's Gary Lineker, Wales's Mark Hughes and Scotland's Steve Archibald have all played for which Spanish football club?
Real Madrid.
Barcelona. What Australian slang word for a sheep was popularised in the song Waltzing Matilda?
Woolly.
Jumbuck. The rocks that are said to be where the sirens lured ships to their doom in Greek mythology are off a resort in the Bay of Naples. Which one?
Capri.
Sorrento. Which Swedish novelist created the workaholic detective inspector Kurt Wallander?
Simone.
Mankell. What name is given to the record of the Survey of England that was commissioned by William the Conqueror in 1085 and undertaken in 1086?
Doomsday Book.
Yes. Which band won the 2007 Mercury Prize with their debut album Myths of the Near Future?
The Arctic Monkeys.
And the Klaxons. Which island is home to the eye, a rare squirrel-like nocturnal primate with specially adapted long, slender fingers used for locating insects and for digging the pulp out of the fruit?
Madagascar.
Yes, what term for the policy adopted by Neville Chamberlain to placate Hitler did Churchill liken to the actions of a person who feeds the crocodile hoping it will eat him last?
Conciliation.
Appeasement. Which ocean is circled by a string of volcanoes and sites of seismic activity referred to as the Ring of Fire?
The Pacific.
Is correct. No passes, Jillian. You have a total of 24 points. Close contest there. Let's have a look at all the scores. In fourth place, 16 points, Steve Wilson. Third place, 23 points, David Good. Second place, 24 points, Jillian Taylor. First place, 26 points, Philip Isaac. Which means, of course, that Philip is tonight's winner and he goes through to the semi-finals. Congratulations to him. Now, if you would like to be a contender on the next series, then do go to our website, bbc.co.uk/mastermind. And, of course, you can follow us on Twitter @MastermindQuiz. And do join us again, please, next time for more Masterminds. Thanks for watching. Goodbye.